on YouTube? Welcome back everyone, this is Lee, and yes, today's the day we'll be talking about the Fujifilm overheating situation. Now, I know there's a lot of you guys out there that are shooting your X-T3, X-T4, X-T30, and you're out there in the summer heat, you're taking your photos, you're doing videos, and all of a sudden, your camera craps out, it shuts down because it's just trying to save your sensor from overheating. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you guys some indoor testing that I did on the X-T3. I'll be testing at 4K 24 frames per second at 100 megabytes per second, and also I'll be testing at 400 megabytes per second. So without further ado, let's begin. Now for the X-T3, I was essentially recording at 4K 24 frames per second at 400 megabytes, and this is the temperature reading on the sensor after 20 minutes. As you can see, it's roughly around 100 Fahrenheit. Now, during my metering time, this was a 5-minute break. After that was done, I did another 20-minute recording, total of 40 minutes altogether. And this is the current temperature after you do 40 minutes with the 5-minute break in between. It's about 107 Fahrenheit. Now, I did the exact same thing. I did another 20 more minutes, in total of 60 minutes with 2 breaks of 5 minutes in between. And this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's about 112 Fahrenheit. So with the 5-minute break in between of 20 minutes of recording, the temperature do rise up at 400 megabytes per second. Now, a year ago, I did the X-T30, of course. That was 24 frames per second, 4K at 200 megabytes per second. And essentially, it was 140 Fahrenheit on the X-T30. That was insane. And that was pretty hot for that camera. Now, I basically tuned down the 400 megabytes per second down to 100 megabytes per second, and this is what it looks like at 20 minutes, 95 Fahrenheit. Now, I did the exact same thing. I took the lens off, I did my metering. It was a 5-minute break pretty much, and I recorded another 20 more minutes, and this is what the temperature looks like, roughly around 105 Fahrenheit. Now, for the last 20 minutes of this 60-minute recording, instead of taking my 5-minute break that I was doing, I took a 10-minute break, and this is the reading. It was 103 Fahrenheit. So with that said, obviously, of course, if you take more time between each recording, the camera will get much cooler. Now, a year ago, I also tested the A6100. It was also recording at 4K, 24 frames per second at 100 megabytes per second. And this is the reading at 40 minutes. It was roughly around 80 Fahrenheit. Now, I did 60 minutes, of course, 5 minutes in between. This is what the reading looks like, 90 Fahrenheit. So this just tells me that Sony, they were bullied for what, 3-4 years with their overheating situation. They got it fixed. But with the X-T3, the more you record, of course, the higher the temperature goes. So keep in mind, definitely have breaks in between. Now for the X-T4, many of you guys were asking me why I picked the X-T3 over the X-T4, and it's because of this situation. Now, take a look at the X-T4. Basically, they just increased the size by 2 millimeters pretty much. Around the handle, maybe 4 millimeters. So let me show you guys how big is 2 millimeters. Now let me take this, take that. All right, this is what it looks like. This is an SD card. This is 2 millimeters right here, guys. This is like 2.1. This is how thin they extended the X-T4. Now a lot of you guys are probably thinking, okay, so they made the camera a lot bigger, right? What's the problem here? Now, they not only made the camera a lot bigger, they put a bigger battery in the camera, and also they inputted a huge IBIS unit in the camera. Now, if you're using IBIS on the X-T4, you're going to generate even more heat within the camera alongside with the battery that is generating the IBIS. Now, with that said, 2 millimeters of space is not going to give you enough cooling to compensate all of that heat inside the camera, and also you're shooting 15 frames per second now. You're basically going to have more overheating problems in your X-T4. And if you look at Fuji rumors, a lot of folks are claiming that their X-T4 do shut down a lot faster than the X-T3 because of this situation. Now, many folks out there are probably wondering, what does overheating actually do to the camera? Now, if you think about computers, right? You get the blue screen of death. It shuts down by itself, just like your camera, of course. And also, you shorten down the lifespan on your computers, the performance drops, right? Now, with like game consoles, PS4, Xbox, the same thing. If your car overheats, what happens? Maybe your gasket might start cracking, your cylinder starts to warp, stuff like that. Now, with the camera, what happens when you overheat? Now, essentially, what happens first? your camera shuts down. Now the shutdown is supposed to save you from, stop using the camera for a while. But a lot of folks out there, they love to, continue shooting because they got stuff to do, right? They don't want to sit there and wait for the camera to cool down. So a lot of you guys are continuing recording, and a lot of folks are saying that they get the hot pixel, they get more noise in their image. They also see a lot of more lag than ever before. With that said, a lot of you guys are thinking, well, there gotta be a solution to smooth out the overheating, and I will have to say, yes, there is. The first thing you guys gotta do is let it shut down, let it cool off, and also change out the battery. The battery is pretty warm after it overheats. Hopefully you guys have backup batteries, so plug that in, of course. And also, as well, you can change out your SD card, plug in a brand new SD card. That will help out the situation. And of course, between takes, definitely do the same thing, shut it down, take out your batteries, just let things rest, let things cool off, of course. Now, if you are shooting like weddings or interviews outdoors, you might need an umbrella. You get one of these huge umbrellas, or you could get a regular umbrella and basically have someone hold it or put it on a tripod or something. This is a bad idea. But in general, definitely if your camera craps out, definitely unplug the battery, take out the SD card, let it cool off. Now, if you are a working professional, you should have 2 cameras, of course. Now in the future, with the XT5 comes out in 2022, you guys probably want 6K, 4K, 120p, maybe 8K. The camera will be thicker. It has to be more thicker, and it might just have ventilation just like the Lumix, because all that feature is going to have more heat coming out from your camera. So if you guys saw the R5, a lot of people are complaining about the overheating situation. Basically, once the camera overheat on the R5, they have to close their camera for like 10 minutes, and they could turn it back on for another 5-minute recording or something like that, and it shuts down completely. So I guess the main question is, for all the Fuji owners out there, for your XT5, do you guys mind it being a little bit more thicker than 2mm, maybe 4mm, because they need to compensate all that heat for all those features? Or do you guys want it to be more compact with all that features? If so, definitely know that your camera will overheat. So with all that said, thank you guys for checking me back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this content, and definitely click like and subscribe. Definitely check out the merch store. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, take it easy. Peace.